News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
Welcome to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning.
I'm Allan Gilbreth with AllanSpices.com.
And I'm Maximilian. And finally, Allan, a holiday for you. Happy National Houseplant Appreciation Day.
Oh, right. Yes.
Hang on, I'm writing that down. Houseplant Appreciation Day. So, okay. Well, you can't really argue with that. Now, Max, does that include exterior plants?
I mean, I suppose so.
I don't know.
It's houseplants.
Houseplant.
Now, what qualifies as a houseplant gets a little nebulous, but, you know, it's about time those Venus flytraps got some respect.
Yeah, and if you've got a king-size one like Allan's got in his front yard that can swallow a French poodle, then...
Hey, it cuts down on critters making a mess in the yard, man. That's all I got to tell you.
That's a pretty good one, Max. I suspect there's more up there, too, isn't there?
What do you mean?
In front of you. You got your screen. Is that the only holiday of note today? Or?
No.
Okay, what else?
It's also National Cut Your Energy Costs Day.
There we go.
National Save the Eagles Day.
Okay.
And Allan, I guess this is the only one. You're going to be the only one celebrating National Oysters Rockefeller Day.
That is a fond, happy thought.
It's also Peculiar People Day.
Okay. Well, why didn't you lead with that one?
Yeah, we kind of got that one covered.
Max, you always bury the lead. Peculiar People Day. Okay.
I prefer Houseplant Day because it's an Allan Day.
It is.
All right. Well, we got no shortage of holidays, so I can see. All right. Well, then hopefully what if, the challenge would be how do you celebrate all of those together
easily
in one event?
That would just be dinner at my house.
Oysters. All right. Well, Allan, speaking of that, okay, there is a lot on the table. And here we go once again. It's like picking. I'm already looking here at what we're probably not even going to get to until next week. But okay, Allan, we have got to talk about this stone carpet. We've teased it for 3 weeks. So let's please do that. In Allan's week in review, I don't know, was it landscaping this week?
Yeah, we're gonna blame the word landscaping for this week. Water management.
Well, speaking of landscaping, in our great moments in building history, as we continue our Memphis-centric celebration, we're going to take a look at Memorial Park in East Memphis, which I dare say probably everybody in this area has driven by, thousands of times. We go by it all the time, even just to get here to the
it's
to the
literally
studio.
Across the street.
Now, Max, this is a cosmic homeowner that is suggested by Max. Let's see. It says hybrid design and building, something like that.
Hybrid construction.
Hybrid construction.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, in that same vein, this isn't hybrid, but it's in the cosmic homeowner realm. We teased this last week, too, talking about the brilliance of Viking ship design, but also it was probably... We're going to pose the question, was it built out of, were their designs influenced by necessity? Let's just put it that way.
Let's just also put it, too, the reason I had this cosmic homeowner discussion is actually due to the Vikings, so it ties in pretty well to your shipbuilding discussion.
I've got a tool tale involving a insect as well, too, that made somebody a multimillionaire just by, sitting down and paying attention to an insect. I almost would say that's a cosmic homeowner, too. And I'm going to stop teasing because I already know there's more here on the list, folks. Trust us. So we're going to get to what we can get to. But before we get to any of those things, Max, let's get to our must-have item of the week, which let's see, that's about the only sound you're going to get out of this. So I posted this on the Facebook page, but go ahead, Allan. Let them know.
You have waterproof markers. Well, basically, they're designed to write on semi-moist surfaces.
Yeah, they're wet, dry markers.
Yes.
They're like a Sharpie. Oh, can I use the word Sharpie? Okay,
You
just did. So they're not the Sharpie brand, but they're basically, if you've ever... for me, like building decks and building room additions and things like that, you always get lumber that there's that little bit of dampness, or maybe it's pretty wet. Like, treated lumber could be soaking wet when you're working with it. And so drawing on them with a pencil is challenging. Sometimes the pencil, or it digs way into the...
Oh, yeah. It's too soft.
It's too soft. It breaks the tip.
Worse, the tip soaks up the water, and now you have a useless pen for about 2 hours.
Right.
Yep.
So this one, and I haven't had to put it to the test to see if it works with a soak. I guess the dampness thing. But I have to say, these things were 98 cents a piece.
Well, yeah, I just literally was using those yesterday, and I would tell you, they don't work as well as advertised. However, they work better than anything else.
Okay.
So they get a thumbs up. On the Russian scorecard, they're about an 8 out of 10.
Okay, and they come in. Let's see. I saw 3 different colors. They might have come in 4, but I've got a blue and a black set. But they, I'd have probably paid $3 a piece for these. I don't know if I'd have paid $5 a piece, but
it kind of make me think of like those astronaut pens that I've heard of, where it's like, oh, you can write with them upside down.
Oh yeah.
Now let me tell you something. If you are one of these people that is working on walls or you're working on subfloors from underneath, pressurized pens, aka the ones that'll write in any direction.
Yeah.
They used to call them astronaut pens. They're now called pressurized pens. They are lifesavers because the average writing pen is designed to be gravity fed. When you have a pressurized pen, there's always just that little bit of pressure to keep that ink on that roller. And that makes such a difference. This is leading into the proper tool for the proper job basically discussion.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to use these every day, but these are the things when you need them.
When you need it, you need it.
Especially if, like, I've had times where you're working on something and it's like, okay, I've got a 16-foot board and I got to run a line all the way down it, and that turns into a challenge when it's soaking wet or when.
I remember the first time I had to use a grease pen and a grease board on a job.
Yeah,
because it was raining. It was raining like the whole job. Right. And you had to tell the guys in the other building something. And this is, pre the days of cell phones. And, so you had to write it in a grease pen and hold up the board so they could see it.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So, okay, pretty straightforward, though. But it's a good price, honestly. I was pleasantly surprised. I was expecting to pay more, but pretty good deal. So get yourself a set of those, and you won't. And obviously you can use them for dry, too.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. So they're
beautiful dry.
Pretty useful. So, well, hey, before we go to the break, you guys, I got something else. I didn't warn you about this, Allan, but so I'm working at my customer's house the other day and walk into the kitchen. She was home. I guess she had the day off or whatever. And I came in and it was one of the worst smells I've ever seen. It was a burning smell. And it smelled to me like it had elements of burning popcorn, only times 10. It was whatever. So I said, wow, what happened? She goes, oh, well, I was microwaving some dehydrated yak milk.
That just doesn't come up in conversation very often.
I said, wait a minute, hold on, I got to take notes here because I knew this was going on the show. But she said, no, it's these dog treats. It's, I guess, these chew treats for her dogs that they chew on. For a dog, it's like filet mignon. So
okay, I'm down, but
they're these little cube rectangle things.
Microwaved it for the dog?
Well, it says on the instructions, it says, okay,
microwave this for the dog.
It says if it gets as it gets to the end of this thing, if you want to soften it up, microwave it for about a minute. Well, she microwaved it for 90 seconds, and that 30 seconds made all the difference. And it was in the house the whole day. And so I guess my question for you was going to be, and my question for the listeners is there some sort of, air quality hack? Is there some hack to just, get rid of this? She scrubbed out the microwave. She's wiping things down. It was like, but it lingered. It was awful. It was a really bad smell. And I was like, but...
All right. Well, a billion years ago when I worked on a resort and somebody would flambe something in that brand new microwave oven.
Yeah.
That's how old this far back that was. I discovered the only thing that would actually beat that smell was a cloved lemon.
A cloved lemon, meaning what?
You take cloves.
You microwave that?
No. Oh, no. You don't put this in the microwave. You take like a lemon and you take an ice pick and you poke holes in it. And you stick cloves in it. This is early aromatherapy. And that will have this pleasant clove citrus scent that has a way of cutting through terrible odor on the planet.
I'm picturing you walking around like that, like some voodoo priest or something.
Yeah,
you wave it around in the kitchen or something.
Or in certain places, it became kind of like the Chia Pet. People put little faces on them, but a cloved lemon has a way of cutting through the worst possible smells you can imagine.
Okay, well, I'm going to put it out there to the listeners. What's the worst thing you've ever microwaved in terms of smell? Can anything top dehydrated yak milk?
Man, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I think, Max, this might have dwarfed your popcorn. The popcorn smell that you when you burned that as a kid.
Well, the popcorn walked so that the yak milk could run.
There you go. So, all right. Well, that's what we're talking. Air quality hacks, basically.
Wow.
So, lemon and clove. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Or we can talk about snake plants when we come back. They might work too.
Okay. Well, we'll give that a shot. So, all right. Well, when we come back, we're going to do this. We're going to finally do this. We're going to talk about installing stone carpet.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
If you need to go to the bathroom after this next series of tests, please let a test associate know, because in all likelihood, whatever comes out of you is going to be cold. Only temporary, so do not worry. If it persists for a week, though, start worrying and come see us, because that's not supposed to happen.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Does that smell worse than the yak milk?
I think the yak milk's still going to win.
Yeah, that's what, exactly. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And yes, if you're just tuning in, we had a situation with some over microwaved dehydrated yak milk, and if that sounds like the name of a country music song, well then. But anyway, and Allan gave us some hacks involving lemon and clove. That doesn't sound like a bad thing to do anyway. Just every now and again,
great.
Just do that in your house, right?
Yeah, but then to throw in a house plant to do our celebration for the day, one of the best house plants for that is a snake plant.
Well, that's right, because today's National Houseplant Appreciation Day.
Yeah, you can get those at your local garden center, and they're the tall, straight, spear-looking things, but they are absolutely fantastic for air quality.
Now, is there a validity to certain wives' tales where it talks about, like, the absorption of certain things, like, like via onions or whatever? Like, is there any scientific quality, like, to these things, like with regards to absorbing odors? Like, I'm just kind of curious what it is about lemons or whatever, and cloves in particular, that make it a good absorber of odors.
Well, you're wandering off into the realm of aromatics, of atomized oils, and that type of thing, and certain, especially houseplants. And you can look this up easily. There's a whole pantheon of houseplants that are very good at absorbing certain household chemicals. The snake plant being one of them. And, this is why people have houseplants. They're aesthetically pleasing, and they do add to the atmosphere of your home.
Not to beat this into the ground, but you're making me wonder about something, because and this is almost cosmic homeowner territory, but okay, this smell, it was really bad.
Right.
And it filled the kitchen, the living room, down the hall, everything.
Well, it's because the fats in the biscuit atomized and went everywhere.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. If you were looking at this microscopically, what are we seeing? We're seeing little, almost little, I don't know what, microscopic pellets of this thing.
Well, yeah, you're at an atomic, you're at a molecular level, and if you remember the Remy Halo system, which actually produced a form of hydrogen peroxide in the air that would
cleaning particulates.
Well, we call them cleaning particulates, but they would actually oxidize these organic molecules floating around in the air, thus neutralizing them.
Okay, that's what I was going to get at. So this lemon and clove, whatever you're doing, that's on a microscopic level killing these things, or is it overwhelming these little microbes, or is it?
you're going to wind up with a little molecular tussle going on. As one settles out, the other replaces it or pushes it out.
Okay.
And if you have houseplants, like snake plants or a variety of others, they are actively interchanging with air because they respirate, not like we breathe, but they do respirate. So they take in air chemicals and they release air chemicals.
So the plague doctors had it going on before they realized it.
Yeah.
There were a lot of unintentional discoveries, like you're going to mention plague doctors. We're going to go to rose hips. Rose hips are a remarkable source of vitamin C. Back in those days, nobody really understood that, but the people using crushed roses and stuff like that as an aromatic, and also using rose hips in teas, they were healthier than the people that weren't because they were drinking something with vitamin C in it.
There you go, man.
So
Okay.
a lot of these old wives' tales or old stories, when you research them modernly, you kind of go, there's those aha moments where you go, oh, and that's why that worked.
This is sort of an aside, but it kind of makes me think of the myth of Prometheus, where it talks about how Prometheus's liver was regenerated every day. It might have been the Greeks' attempt to realize that, hey, wait, the liver is capable of regenerating like 90% or 75% of its organ tissue after it's healed.
Yeah.
I know that's random, but that's what made me think of it.
Well, it's stuff you learn when you've been stabbed with a spear. What can I tell you?
All right. Well, it's interesting. The microscopic battles taking place in our home.
Well, the disgusting little fact is 75% of the dust in your home is you.
Oh, yeah. We've learned
Yeah,
that.
we've gone over that for decades.
Right.
It's human skin.
Okay. All right. Well, let's shift gears. So, and actually, that's sort of apropos. So, Allan, we've talked about this for the last couple of weeks. I have no experience with this, but the truth is, I have an on-air confession. Okay. You know that a couple or 2 or 3 years ago, whatever it was, we remodeled our kitchen.
Right.
If I'm being honest, we had two options. We had gone to the flooring store. This is that place over there that's got literally hundreds, maybe thousands of flooring
I give
choices.
tours there, yeah.
Yeah, it's you. I mean, if you go in there without an idea of what you want, you're going to be in there 8 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so much to choose. Well, we were down to 2 or 3 choices of the colors we liked, and I took the slightly cheaper option. I didn't go full on cheap or whatever. Well, 2 years later, my wife and I both agree we hate this floor.
Okay.
It shows every little bit of hair, like you said, every little bit of dust. It's, I don't know. It's just, it just doesn't look good. And we're like, okay, we don't necessarily want to go back to tile either. Like, 'cause
Right.
we've been there, done that, and we've had, the grout separating and everything. And we came across this video of what they called stone carpet.
Yes.
And we saw a guy spread. For one thing, it looked pretty easy to put down. But basically, folks, if you can imagine, it was it's like a clear kind of adhesive, I'm guessing some sort of epoxy, but it's got stones, and it could be any stone size you want. It could be real fine or, well, I'm sorry, any stone color you want is what I meant.
Stone color, yeah, because
If it's too heavy of a stone, it's not going to work. If it's too fine, then you're basically smearing sand down there.
Correct.
It's like,
correct.
So I would say, if I had to guess, Allan, these stones were about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch in diameter or something like that. And you picked any color. It looked cool. But
very
basically,
rounded. Very, very rounded, yeah.
you prepare the floor, which obviously to me, the prep work is the bigger thing. So what I was thinking of doing is we would pull this, because we bought the pre-finished floor where you click it together. And honestly, we could just pull this up. This floor would come right up. So we're going to prepare the floor. And this stone carpet, I want to say, leaves about 1/4 of an inch or maybe 3/8 of an inch thick. It's not, at least what we saw, and then you put a sealer on and you're done. And it covers everything. It looked really cool, man. It had this sort of interesting, like decorative concrete look to it, but never used it. I have no idea how reliable it is or if it's going to separate or whatever. But
good for you. I had to look it up.
Shatter my dreams.
Let me shatter your dreams. All right, I'm actually not going to shatter your dreams.
Because it looks cool and we're tempted.
I'm going to tell you, this is used fairly commonly in the resort industry and healthcare.
Okay.
All right. If you want to practice this, if you want to find out if you're any good with this, go buy you a sheet of plywood and any garage epoxy sealant.
Okay.
And put some color in it and some sparkles and anything you want, and see if you can lay a floor on that piece of plywood.
Well,
Now, if you can do that and you can get it laid and flat and smooth and pretty, then your next step is to do your what you call your stone carpet.
okay, but see, the stone carpet in the videos I was watching, it looks a lot more forgiving because these things are sort of leveling. No, I mean, you smear it on, but the surface has a very slight texture to it.
It does.
Which to
but
me
it
made
is-
it more forgiving. But,
Well, it's not. It's
okay.
it is exactly the same process and technology as putting in an epoxy garage floor. It's the exact same technique, exact same style. You're using the same type of epoxy blends, but you are using a small rounded stone, and that is your only limitation.
Yeah.
You could use quartz, you could use marble. They have colored stones. They have hundreds of options for this. The trick is getting it level and getting it smooth. Now, once you've got it in and installed, and you're probably not going to stay in the house that night.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering about the smell. Because
Yeah, you're probably not going to sleep in the house that night. I will just tell you now.
So this is not a latex product. This is, yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a latex product or not. It's going to stink
Okay.
because it's got a cure.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to do this so you can leave this floor alone for the prescribed length of time it takes to cure.
And it's a kitchen, so that's like the most
You
desired
ain't going to be
room
using
in
the
house,
kitchen
so.
for a day or two.
All right,
Yeah.
we got a few more thoughts about that when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I cannot believe a pipe burst and left that there.
There's no burst pipe.
How do you know that? What is it then? Hey guys, somebody making soup?
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Now that's just some dehydrated yak milk that they microwave. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Lorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning. Heard my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com. And our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, yeah, it's been a very aromatic episode, among other things. Today's National Houseplant Appreciation Day, National Peculiar People Day, some other, I don't know, there's a bunch of things. So, okay. Save the, I couldn't finish.
Eagles Day.
Save the Eagles Day. So.
Save the Peculiar People Day.
Yeah, and
There
if you
you
can
go.
find a way to sell, and National Oysters Rockefeller Appreciation Day.
I
So
know how
Talk
that
about
was getting
aromatic.
celebrated.
if you can find a way to celebrate all those together, now, Allan, I could see this going bad because I'm assuming Eagles would enjoy some Oysters Rockefeller, and if you invite them to your celebration, it's going to be carnage.
No, not really. Not really. No.
Now, if it's like a Philadelphia Eagles, then maybe.
Oh gosh, yeah. Okay. Anyway, all right. Hey, you guys. We were talking before the break. We were talking about my wife and I are very tempted by this stone carpet, and Allan's kind of giving me the street level view of this stuff, whether we should do it or not. And we're gonna have a few parting thoughts about that. Before we get to that, though, let's talk about our good friends over at Groundworks. And Allan, it sounds to me like the themes are going to overlap here with your weekend review. Right?
It is. It is.
Okay. Well, because Groundworks, they're all about the health and security and safety of the foundation of your home, and I can't really think of anything more important. I mean, if you don't have a good foundation, you're going to have problems everywhere the rest of the home. So, and the problem is that sometimes if you're a new homeowner or if you're just not familiar with how your home works, you may not realize that these problems that you have are actually based on your foundation. You may have sticking windows. You may have there may be some bugs gathering at certain areas of the house. There may be a weird smell. You may have a spongy floor. You may have a stair-step cracks above the doors or on the bricks of your home. So any of these could indicate a problem with your foundation. So what we suggest is that you get in touch with Groundworks. You call them up, you set up your free appointment, and they're going to come out with their detecting equipment, and they're going to do a full comprehensive inspection of your foundation, and then they'll sit down with you and show you what they discovered. And hopefully what they discovered is nothing, that your foundation is in really good shape. But whatever they find, if it's a small problem or a large problem, and this includes commercial properties as well, then they're going to come up with a solution for you, and they're fully equipped to handle any of your foundation problems. So this is really sort of a no-brainer. If you're a homeowner, this is something you really need to take care of. Make sure your foundation is in good shape. So you can call Groundworks at 901-459-2290, or just go to groundworks.com and book your free inspection today. All right, Alan, so I'm not sure with our discussion of this stone carpet. I told you, my wife and I, what we determined was we hate the floor that we have now. And we're always kind of looking to do new things anyway. And so we're like, well, we've done tile. I mean, we've done that a million times. But the stone carpet looked really interesting. And the thing I like about it is it's a uniform finish. If you ever damaged it, as far as I could tell, you pull up the damage and you put a new, like, it's almost like, to me, it looked like you could patch it. You're wincing, but I'm just saying,
more or less, yeah.
It looked interesting, and it probably has a very slight texture when you're walking on it. I understand it feels good to walk on. It's like, I don't know, it looked cool, and you have all these choices as far as your color.
All right, getting it to walk on, getting that great texture. This is one of these things where I'm definitely going to advocate practicing first before you get down there and start slinging. A well-laid epoxy stone floor feels fabulous.
It's probably got to be the right diameter of the stones.
You need to make sure the stone that you use is all uniformly round, because you are going to get a pebbled finish.
Right.
So you're going to get kind of I'm picking on the epoxy out in the garage. You know, the whole idea is to get a finish that's non-skid, and out there it's supposed to be oil resistant, and those chemicals.
They can be slippery too, though, if they have moisture.
They can, but now we're talking about in your kitchen. So think about being at a fancy resort and you're out by the pool. That is fundamentally the exact same floor you're thinking about laying.
Yeah, because you don't want to slip on it either.
Right.
You need to have some traction, but you also don't want to collect you don't want it to be hard to clean.
That's where it gets interesting, because it does have a little bit more maintenance to it than pretty much anybody tells you. You do have to clean it frequently because it is a sealed surface. So there's no little cracks and stuff. I hate to say it, when you have carpet, dirt has a way of disappearing that you don't see it. When you have tile, there's grout lines and stuff, and there's places where stuff can kind of hide from you until you get around to cleaning.
Yeah.
This one, there's no place to hide. It's absolutely there, and you really need to kind of get it in your head that probably at least twice a year, you're going to be maintaining the surface finish, because it is going to wear out where you're walking on those stones.
Okay, that's interesting to know. So.
My question has to do with the idea of that whole quote of nothing good comes easy. And I'm almost wondering if things like stone carpet and floating floor, or it's like, oh, it's so simple and everything. Like, oh, let's just smear the stone carpet, or let's just set a floating floor, where it's like, well, I've seen Joe's floor floating. I've seen Joe's floating floor, and this thing that came simple and everything made me realize, like, okay, yeah, it is a little cheap and everything. You start to see peeling of the thing. So it's like, is this an example of it's almost too simple to where it's like, okay, this is sort of the cheaper approach. So
there is a certain level. Now, see, all right, my problem is I know Joe well. Yeah. I've worked with him a couple of times on things, and I know that you have the mudding skills to put this floor in. I've
so
seen
you're saying
you mud.
This stuff isn't going to self-level. It's going to...
Okay. All right. Nothing ever self-levels. Let's just get that lie out of the way. Nothing on this planet outside of a glass of water ever actually self-levels like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
You and I both know that. And now I know everything says, oh, just pour this stuff out on the floor, it'll self-level. You and I
You'll
both
get
know.
bubbles, you get humps, you get, yeah.
All right, you know you're kind of in for something here. I will tell you a trick that we have done in the past to make things quote unquote self-level.
Right.
Is a vibratory device.
Okay.
Like, anything that will make the floor shake a little bit.
Yeah.
Will help level everything.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Exactly. Kind of like shaking the edge of the box just a little bit, and you can make things level. And it can be as simple as of turning on a shop vac and leaving it in the corner of the room while you work. Because, it creates a certain amount of vibration. And that will help things settle. The biggest thing here is the trowel work. And for anybody that is really bad at mudding drywall, this is not your project.
Okay.
For somebody who's good at mudding, you're going to do this and you're going to go, I don't know what that Allan guy was talking about, man. This was a breeze. But you're basically mudding with really thick material with rocks in it.
Okay, but you are going against the floor, which to me
well, you're
still
not
makes
going
it
up and down a wall. You're not doing a ceiling. You're on the floor.
Oh, they had videos of guys putting us on the wall too. I'm like, I'm not getting near that.
Yeah.
That is a problem. So.
I've never done a wall. I've done the floors, and again, it's just take your time, be relaxed, be confident in what you're doing, and you will get a beautiful finish.
Well, what we talked about was we're going to do the sunroom first because the sunroom, the floor is in terrible shape anyway. So we have to do something, and you can close it off. There's like 5 windows. You can just do that, and then that'll be our testing ground. So
that's a good place to start. If you need help, let me know. The biggest thing is make sure you've got everything taped off well.
Oh,
Epoxy does not forgive you.
Yeah. Well, and you got to clean the surface and prepare it.
Right. You got to get everything done. Now, I will give you this. Putting in this kind of floor covers up and gets rid of a lot of old sins.
Well, that's what appealed to us. It's like it covers everything.
You got little chips in the concrete. You got little this, little that. Man, this stuff can make all of that disappear. But there is maintenance. You are going to need to clear coat this stuff about depending upon use, probably about every 6 months.
Okay.
This is probably going to get us into the break, but would you say that there's a preferable or an alternative to a stone carpet that you like better, Allan?
Keeping in mind that I have a tile floor underneath, and if I don't have to take it out, I'd like to not take it out. So
yeah, if you don't have to go bust that out and fight with that nonsense.
Okay.
Well, again, it really comes down to form and function. You really have to ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve and for how long? And when we start talking about flooring, people think forever. And that's where like floating floor gets in trouble because it's really not a forever product. It's a floating floor.
Well, I feel like in fairness too, we didn't spend as much on this floor. And I think I even said on the air that this is an experiment.
Yeah,
if we
you
don't
did.
Like it, we'll
I remember when you put it in, and well, now it's a couple of years later, and the good news is it's not going to be that hard to take it out.
The experiment failed, but anyway, it wasn't expensive. So, all right, well, we got a lot. We got a lot going on here. When we come back in our Cosmic Homeowner segment, we're going to talk about hybrid construction design.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
You may feel a slight sighing.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I can honestly say I've never been sawed, Allan. I mean, I've cut myself on a saw, but I've never had the saw attack. So
our marketing manager has when he had knee surgery.
Ugh, sounds awful. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And before we get to our Cosmic Homeowner, why don't we talk about Allan Spices? Allan, I'm shaking. I don't know if anybody can hear it.
Okay. All right. So
we have a new, there's some new news. Is this breaking news?
Yeah, this is breaking news. This is a brand new release. We have our version of Caribbean Saison going on the shelves this weekend.
Okay, but so this looks, and is it going to be hot and spicy?
No, it is not hot. I am all about flavor, not heat.
Okay, but you told me there's a new product out that's what I was curious about too. A new I don't know, because you're doing dry rubs, right? You're doing spices, but what about? I thought you said you had teas.
I have 5 new herbal teas.
Okay,
So they also went on the shelf this weekend. So the Saison, for those of you that have never been on a cruise, this is the wonderful garlic, cumin, coriander, and paprika that has that beautiful golden chicken effect when you're using it on meats. Is beautiful, makes this beautiful golden red orange. The flavor is amazing. We have 5 herbal teas that just came out. So my erstwhile, of all things, my erstwhile construction partner, Angel, is the one who designed these. So she has her own teas by Angel now.
There you go. So you can go to allanspices.com,
Yep.
ALLANS spices.com, or go over to the Painted Tree over in Cordova.
Booth B20.
I heard you're getting cleaned out over there.
Yeah, we had to do a lot of restocking this week.
Okay.
I have. It's one of these. I love to have that problem.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
People are enjoying it. So I'm having a great time. It's a lot of fun. So I'm gonna send a bottle of Saison home with you so you can be amazed.
Well, I was going to say my wife is getting to the point where she's using these just about every day.
And she should. Yeah.
Well, she cooks with it, and then she'll even top off certain things, select items. But she's really using that steak seasoning a lot. With potatoes and things like that. So anyway, all right, Allan.
Wait till she throws some of that on some French fries.
All right, awesome. AllanSpices.com. So, all right, you guys, here we go.
And now, the Cosmic Homeowner on Tool Talk Radio.
We got like 3 of these, actually. So I think when I'm looking at our subject matter, a few of these, they qualify. But, Max, this is your contribution to the Cosmic Homeowner. So.
I'd like to begin with a preamble with the train of thought that led to said Cosmic Homeowner. So
Okay.
I'm a lover of military history, and I was thinking about the men and women in the Navy on like big battleships and everything. And I was wondering, it's like, well, what would happen if like the power went off and everything, and it's like, and there was like, like they couldn't rely on like the comforts that they had like on the battleship. You're just essentially in like a cold steel box, and so it's like, I was thinking that maybe they need to include as part of their military training some of the old ancient techniques of like the way Vikings stayed warm by having communal like cots and like for like so that you're warmed by the body heat of the person that you're sleeping next to and everything. So it's like, and then it led me to the whole idea of, well, then why not extend that to houses as well, where it's like, if the power goes out, you can recourse to older cooking techniques, because it's like we don't have any like hearths anymore. There's no natural airflow like in our homes and everything. Kind of like how Antoni Gaudi, the famous Barcelona architect, he built with his like homes and apartment complexes with the idea of capturing wind as natural AC in mind. And so it's like, that's what led to the whole idea of hybrid construction in homes.
So in other words, like if you have, instead of building the home, it's like, okay, well, there's going to be air conditioning in here, so we don't have to worry that much about airflow or whatever, because the air conditioner will do the job. But what if built into the design of this home was, let's make the design of the home do the heavy lifting, and the air conditioner is almost supplemental or something like that.
Yeah, congratulations to building in the last 5 years.
Yeah, Max, I wouldn't say that they're totally, I think people think about this, but I don't know that that's the central focus of their. When you were telling me this, Max, it reminded me of that cruise ship where the power went out and it turned into chaos because even the bathrooms wouldn't work.
Right.
And so yeah, it's kind of a variation of that. But yeah, I mean, lessening lessening your electrical bill, just
Well, I'm going to throw in a weird twist to this. So on that exact same line of thinking, a couple of car manufacturers have announced that next year's models will have knobs and buttons.
Oh, interesting. Instead of just
so
everything
much
being
for this
digital.
idiotic touchscreen thing.
I'm glad to hear that.
We're going back. We're getting back to, and suddenly I feel so justified.
Can I ask you a question? What you mean by
tortured some poor salespeople over the years?
Because Allan, I mean, the truth is, I never buy new cars. I've never bought a new. Well, no, actually, I bought one new car my whole life. But what I've said all along is like I would happily go back to crank down windows by hand and simple, less things that can break. But when you push a button, for example, like on your dashboard, you're actually connecting a circuit physically, right? I mean,
yes.
Instead of hoping that the digital screen that you hit is gonna come through, it's like you're eliminating a step, and you're eliminating things that could go wrong.
Well, the point is, what you've actually done is the Star Trek School of Plumbing.
Okay,
the Scotty walks in one day, and the big adventure, and they just escaped some giant, spaceship, and Scotty walks in and starts handing little parts to Kirk, and he says, "Well, the more complicated you make the plumbing, the easier it is to back up the sink."
Yeah.
And what it is when you isolate everything to a single point, aka like a touch screen, you have now bottlenecked your vehicle.
Right.
So if the touch screen don't work, nothing works.
Yeah.
All right. In old cars, as you and I know over the years, if the air conditioning doesn't work, everything else works fine.
Right.
You can roll down the window and drive.
Right.
So, Max, you're not wrong. However, I'm going to point out that obviously you have not been to a big sports or camping store lately, because there are entire divisions of that store devoted to exactly what you're talking about. So if the power goes out, I will pick on my father-in-law for a minute. With no power at all, he will roll out there and fire up his propane-powered commercial wok. And you know what? That man can cook, whether there's any power or not.
I think
there are a lot of grills now. There are a lot of pellet-fired. There's a lot of alternative cooking methods that are getting very, very popular because, not everybody wants to cook in the house. Not everybody wants to cook on the stove. But these are great survival tactics for when the power does go out. You did have the big storm. The transformer's going to be out for a day or two. Got news for you. There's a whole lot of homes out there won't miss a meal.
It kind of makes me think of that show Terminator Zero, where it's like the main guy's talking to his son about how people don't realize how things work. And I think when we recourse too much to electricity, it's sort of creating a path of least resistance, and it's more of a reflection on us and our inability to want to learn to survive than it is on the tech itself.
I think that's sort of my thing is like, okay, maybe you're going to spend more money on the front end with the architecture and getting it, but having it less dependent on that, so that if the power or if the gas goes out or something,
I don't want an electrically powered toilet. You are correct.
It's better than the alternative of us all becoming Wall-E.
There we go. We got a few parting thoughts about that when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, it's been, among other things, the holidays are abundant today. There's a lot of holidays that if you could find a way to celebrate them together, hats off. I'd like to see how you do this. Today is National Houseplant Appreciation Day. It's National Save the Eagles Day. It's National Oysters Rockefeller Day. And it's Peculiar People Day.
And it's also Cut Your Energy Savings Cost Day.
Is it?
Yep.
Oh, that's right. So,
Pretty serendipitous.
So throw a party with a bunch of weirdos, bring the Eagles, serve Oysters Rockefeller, turn the power off, and then sit around your house plant. There you go. I just outlined the entire...
Well, I am going to ShadowCon today, so I think that's got it covered.
But if you're just tuning in, though, Max brought something up, and I guess we're calling this hybrid construction. And sort of the idea here is that which I salute, Max. I think this is a good idea. It's like, okay, instead of building things where maybe you're just really reliant on it works great while the electricity works or while the gas or whatever works, but when it fails, then you're kind of in trouble. But I was thinking of some of the buildings we've talked about over the last years. Like there was this school in Africa that they had, and as a matter of fact, it was a schoolhouse, and I don't even think it had electricity, and yet it had beautiful airflow. The way they had the windows set up, it let in natural light. It even had a function where it kept them warmer in the winter, and this was strictly by engineering and architecture and good design. It wasn't even reliant on that. And then I was thinking of some of these other things we've seen where just based on good design, you can basically work with nature, and the electricity and everything else is almost secondary. And I like the idea of getting back to that, where if the power goes out or something else, or plus forget the power going out, why do you got to spend $400 a month on electricity? What if you could get it to where you're spending, $100, or you have a battery system, you have a home battery, you have solar power, whatever.
It makes me think of we didn't never discuss this, but I think it may be either Iran or somewhere in the Middle East. Like the Middle East had some like really high technology, like way back in the day, where they had like almost like, I forget what they called them, where it's like at the top of they're like these towers and everything, and it's essentially natural ACs because they funnel the air that like from the wind that blows into the towers down into the house. Or what was that? What was that structure we did?
I want to say
it was Middle Eastern architecture in like Spain.
Well, I know that they had airflow designs that kept these structures cool. But Max, I think the other thing you that we were talking about was basically desert refrigerators. They're ancient refrigeration techniques just based on nature, and you could refrigerate meats and you could refrigerate everything just by good design. So working in harmony with nature.
And the problem is we always get kind of hyped about what's new. Mm-hmm. So, we were talking about, cars going back to push buttons. Well,
I'll take that.
20 years ago, we thought that screen was great. Well, now 20 years later, we're going, it was a lot easier when I just pushed a button. I didn't make a mistake because the dog didn't just jump up and put his paw in the middle of my view screen.
Right.
Blam. He doesn't know what he pushed.
Yeah.
The kids didn't swipe something, or better yet, Uncle Bob didn't just drop a soda in the middle of my view screen, and now it's out.
Right.
So,
or you didn't get hacked or something. But yeah.
This kind of makes me think of something that I kind of want to take a brief aside to go to the text line. This whole idea is of nothing old is nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun, because the whole idea of choosing path of least resistance has been around for a while. Like even with cars, because Brew Blaster brought up a good point of how it made him think of the original touchscreen, which was the Buick Reata.
How far back is that going?
80s, 90s?
Yeah, so it's like 94, 95, yeah.
Okay, and and if it fails, like you said, Alan, you're not having it. Your dashboard isn't working.
Yeah, you're done. Yeah.
So, yep.
So
I forgot about that.
This property I'm wrapping up right now. Honestly, we installed the refrigerator, and the first thing I got was a message on my phone because the refrigerator wanted the password for the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's a little much for
me. And I'm
me.
like, no, you do not need to go play on the internet. You need to stop.
And you don't have to download an app to use your refrigerator.
No,
it's like,
No. So there is a certain level of simpler is better. We do have a tendency to love something new, but new is not always the better route.
French automobiles.
Yeah.
You're not going to argue with you on that one. So.
Did we have another text while you got the text line open?
Semi-unrelated, but we had Robbie said, a house is essentially a ship on a sea of dirt.
That is not unrelated, and that is very true.
Okay, yeah, very good, Rob. He's not wrong. He
is not wrong.
We always talk about how your house is
dirt
moving.
Dirt moves. He is so right.
But also, so Max, I think while we're talking about your cosmic homeowner idea, the reason we called it hybrid design, I guess, is because your idea for good design is that you're not just relying on one thing. It could still function with different sources, or maybe lack of resources and things like that.
This is the whole idea of making us as individuals more empowered and informed, because I think the more we know how to do stuff and everything, there's a healthy level of pride that we possess and everything. Because I think we all need to kind of learn how to survive a little bit. Like if all of a sudden the power goes out or whatever, because it's like, I think it's it's important for us to know how things work and everything, because that kind of makes us a little bit more connected to our ancestors, because they probably had a lot more street wisdom than we did and everything, and yet we discredit them.
Some.
Yeah.
I mean, like in terms of we had to actually wash our clothes by hands, or we didn't recourse to a dishwasher or stuff like that. So
yeah,
I think stuff like that is kind of good, because it's like, it's not scrapping the fact that we made some pretty good innovations and everything. It just, it's just important that we know how to do a little bit of both. We consult the wisdom of the ancients and everything, but refine it with some of our modern, some things that we've created.
Well, speaking of tapping into the wisdom of the ancients, when you told me this is I guess this is what sparked our discussion of Viking ship design. So let's just while we're on the subject,
roll on into there, yeah.
Because when we were talking about Viking ship design, and I had a couple questions about that, Alan. Because when you look at a Viking ship, I think most people know what they look like. They do have very cool sails. They're really interesting boats, but when you really analyze a Viking ship, they are basically just a giant canoe. I mean, they're pretty. They don't have a big enclosure for people to sleep in. Like Max indicated, they had to build it very minimally. The Vikings had to huddle together to stay warm on the deck and everything. So, but Alan, I was wondering, so two questions. Part of it was, okay, and the Vikings were, I'm sorry, they're my ancestors, but they were jerks, man. They're raiding, they're pillaging, some of them were good old Leif Erikson was an explorer. I know a lot of my ancestors were explorers.
He was the first real estate scam.
Yeah. That was his dad.
He named it Greenland.
That was his father, Eric the Red. So but anyway, the thing is, if you're talking about form and function, though, they really did. They're like, okay, well, if we're gonna go raid this village and sneak up on these people, they needed a stealthy ship that they could pull and one that they could pull right up onto the beach and everything. So in terms of the function, a Viking ship really functions well. But my question was, okay, one of the things they say that if you go to Iceland, I'm thinking of Iceland specifically, but if you go there, it almost looks like you're on another planet because there's very few trees. You have all these rolling mountains, you have these volcanoes, but then you don't see a lot of trees. So my other question about Viking ship design had to do, were these designed out of necessity? Like, we don't have a lot of trees, so we can't be making a full enclosure for the soldiers and everybody to sleep in or something. So I don't know. I guess I was wondering, is it form and function, or is it also necessity that drove the design?
You have a variety of dominoes dropping here. Let's start with purpose.
Okay.
We are at point A, and we need to get to point B. So, in this particular case, it's over water.
Right.
All right. Well, the technology of the time is wood floats.
Yeah.
And now that sounds stupid when I say it like that, but no, actually, reality.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Do we have animal skins? How durable are they? Are we, we're looking at the technology of the time. So to get from point A to point B, we just basically need something that's hollow and it floats. That doesn't mean it works well. And now you begin learning. Yeah. So you got from point A to point B, but it could have gone better. And, this is where the smart one on the boat goes, why don't we do a little of this or a little of that? So what begins to happen with practice, it gets better.
Right.
And they copied from the ancients because it's the Romans that they're stealing from.
Yeah, steal from the best. So there's some interesting lessons to be learned about Viking ship design. So we're going to continue that when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
This thing is a mess.
We used to have 3 carts, actually. The first one got pushed into the creek by some kids. The second one, raccoons got onto. There was urine everywhere. And the third one was recently stolen.
What's this one?
This is the second one, the raccoon one.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And is this still worse than the yak milk?
Gosh, I don't know, man. And we'll don't microwave it, that's for sure. And we'll come back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And Allan, I can see it. I can see it clearly. In the imagination of my mind, I can see the people out there that just woke up. They're turning the radio on. They're looking at the clock, going, "Oh my gosh, we overslept. We missed the first hour of Tool Talk Radio," and now they're really upset. But there's hope for those people, right?
There is indeed. Fear not. All they got to do is pop over to tooltalkradio.com, and they can honestly find legitimately years and years of content. We are a featured podcast of YouTube and Spotify. You can find us anywhere you like to get your podcast from. However, wherever you find us, give us a like. You send us a message, and especially for those of you that listen around the world, because we're up to 25 countries now.
Oh, good.
It's pretty amazing. I love looking on there. It's kind of like, wow, we're in Vietnam and Romania.
Yeah.
I want to, guys, send us a message. Give us an email. Let us know what's going on. Click like, go ahead and subscribe. That way you don't miss anything of... and I got to tell you, we are the world's greatest background noise for getting something done.
Oh yeah, if you need motivation to when you're out working, just put on Tool Talk and just let it roll. So
yep. We're as Douglas Adams would say, mostly harmless.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before the break, we were talking. Max sort of triggered a bigger discussion about what he was calling hybrid building design. I would say. And then we got into a discussion of Viking ship design, mostly because it's just when you talk. Okay, they built these. They had a purpose. Their purpose, in my opinion, was pretty rotten, but not all of it. I mean, they did do some exploration, but their business operation was to go take other people's stuff, and they needed a sneaky way to do that.
That's the Hollywood version. Predominantly, there's a lot of trade.
Okay.
Now we're not saying we're not saying there wasn't some good old Viking movie, stereotypical stuff going on. There was. That was the longship. That was a Drakkar.
Yeah.
And that was the we're gonna say the utility sport SUV version of how to get around.
Right.
Now, the problem with all of this expansion and all that is periodically you need a good old pickup truck to get your stuff around because you got to haul cargo.
Right.
So the Viking ship that you're most interested in is the Nar.
Okay.
And this is the Viking cargo ship, which was kind of like a really big, pregnant longship, but it was designed to haul cargo.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of trading networks extending from the very top of the world up there with Sweden and Norway all the way into the Arab peninsulas. So, I mean, these boats were everywhere. They had pretty much the hot technology of the time. The boats were efficient. They got people there. So, again, we are looking at form versus function, which ties directly into the hybrid home, where you have all the wonders of the modern world. However, you got a fallback position.
Well, I was about to say they're totally hybrid because if there was, they had the big sails, but if the wind was too harsh or if there was no wind at all, they also had rowing.
Break out those oars. That's how you stayed warm.
So, yeah.
You want to know how you stayed warm going across that ocean? Row.
So if the power went out there, it wasn't going to be like that cruise ship. It's like, okay, well, just start rowing, guys. So that's what it was. But my thought is, I still think there's lessons to be learned for modern construction because I just think we waste too much stuff. There's too much I just think we could make things so much more efficient if you tap into nature and in your home design. And I'm just think collectively what that would mean if new homes, let's just suppose you went from having a $400 or $500 utility bill down to $100 or $150. Collectively, what is that doing to the grid? It's lessening the stress on the grid. It's making everybody's life better. So just good design could change a lot.
What was that one kid who you said that just by simply changing the font of what, like, a government paper and everything, it like cuts down on the amount of like paper that you have to print per year or whatever?
Oh yeah, I read a story about some kid that he suggested. He said, I've noticed in government documents you're using this particular font, and he did some mathematical calculations and came up with the formula that if you just switch to this other font, which is just as legible, you're going to save, I don't even know how much. It was millions of dollars a year. And that's just one thing.
I think you have to make the commitment manageable because it's kind of like it's kind of appropriate since we're starting off the new year with New Year's resolutions. It's like the major thing for me as someone who's pursued fitness for a long time was you have to make the commitment manageable, because when I was doing it 5 days a week and everything, it was actually eating away at my muscle gains. But when I'm only doing it three to four times a week, or just 3 times a week, then it's more of a manageable commitment. And so it's like you have to make it seem palatable and committable for the homeowner to transition to more hybrid technology.
Yeah, but you know what, Max? This is actually probably a good time to quickly mention. Let's talk. I want to shift here because you just made me think of something. I want to talk about our good buddy Jay Hill with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. This is a perfect example, Allan. You and I both have a roof that was put on by Big M Roofing, and it has a ridge cap vent.
Yes.
That ridge cap vent, that is the simplest idea, and yet that's saved me money every month on my utility bill. That is the example of what we're talking about here. It's a sort of a hybrid idea. And Jay, one of the things we love about Jay is he's all about the exterior protection of your home, which comes, it's roofing, gutters, siding, windows, and all interior and exterior remodeling. But especially when we talk about his roofing expertise, GAF is thinking this way. They make roofs that are so they're so well engineered that they offer lifetime transferable warranties. And part of the reason they can do that is because they pay attention to things like that. That ridge cap vent makes all of their shingles last longer. And the other great thing about Jay is that he is a former insurance agent, which is hugely helpful because if you have a problem with your home that may, you're wondering, is this damage covered by my homeowner's insurance? Well, Jay really should be the first person you call. He's going to come over. It's a free consultation, and he's going to look over the damage. And if it's something where there is a path forward with making a homeowner's claim, Jay he works basically as your advocate, and he takes something that's kind of a daunting and scary problem and turns it into something exciting. Because now, if it is covered by the homeowner's insurance, that's going to save you thousands of dollars on the repair or the replacement. But we love Jay too because he keeps a low overhead with his business, which means that his prices are very competitive. So when you get your quote from Jay, you're going to probably be very amazed at how reasonable the pricing is. But also, Jay just brings a lot of energy and enthusiasm to every project he's a part of, and he wants you to call him directly. So when you call Big M Roofing and Remodeling, you're going to talk directly to Jay. So give him a call. You can reach him at 901-484-5645 or go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com. So, Allan, I'm looking at our list here. I don't know if we're going to get to your week in review. It might be a 2-week in review type of thing. But when we get to our great moments in building history coming up here in just a minute, we're going to talk about Memorial Park over in Memphis. And I did. So when you're telling me this, I'm like, well, what sort of building do we have here? But this is a building project, isn't it? So, I mean, yeah.
This is going to be much more of a landscaping is coming up, and this is a great spot to get the right ideas.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I'm wondering too, because the landscaping is, it's funny. Some of these things just sound simple, but there is engineering involved. There's a lot, that there's a lot of thought that has to go into these types of things. So, and actually, you maybe you could even tie this in, because I think you told me there was a little landscaping in your weekend review
there was.
as well. But
basically, I got to pull an Allan. And involves a chair and observation.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we'll kick off with that and then jump into our great moments in building history. So, all right. Well, we've been hybriding these different segments coming up. So let's do that again. So we're going to have a hybrid conversation when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I got them a toaster. They called off the wedding and gave the toaster back to me. I tried to return the toaster to the store, and they said they no longer sold that kind of toaster. So now my house has got 2 toasters.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Didn't he have a receipt? I don't know. I mean, it sounds like an easy problem to overcome. Anyway, welcome back to Tool Talk Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if just before we get to our great moments in building history, it sounds actually like there was a little overlap in your weekend review, so maybe we could do a hybrid segment here.
Yeah, absolutely.
The humanity.
So the phone call comes in, hey, we did all this, we did all that, and our office is flooding.
Yeah, okay.
I'm like, okay, all right, well,
do you ever get people that call and say, hey, how's it going? Did they ever just...
No.
It's always like this crisis call. Okay.
Well, that's you get the phone call that goes, we're thinking about adding something. I get the phone call that goes, what did we do?
Yeah, my backyard's underwater. Yeah, you get the emergency calls.
So, well, it wasn't an emergency, but they were a little upset. They'd spent money to correct a problem that wasn't corrected. And so, off I go. And of course, for those of you listening outside of Memphis is having insane weather right now. It's April.
I was in shorts
I know it's
and a
January.
T-shirt yesterday.
I know it's January, but it's April.
Yeah.
We are just having crazy weather.
Mm-hmm.
It is way too warm. Not that we're not in the South and our winters are not all that bad, but it's the middle of January and
it's weird.
We're wearing flip-flops and shorts.
Right.
It's kind of crazy. But we are getting, a good amount of rain every few days. So bless their little hearts. So I go walk around the property and, fundamentally everything looks okay. So it's like, all right, I have my suspicions, but I need proof. All right, I'll be back in a day or two. And they're like, okay, what are you going to be back? And the next time it rains.
Okay, here
so
we
next
go.
time it rains, suddenly I get the phone. I'm literally sitting in their lawn in a chair under an umbrella.
Yeah.
Just sitting there.
Working hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get the phone call. Hey, man, you're here. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Don't you want to come inside?
It's raining out there, right? And I'm going, I know it's raining. So after a little while, they moved to another part of their property and moved to another part. After about 30 minutes, the direction they had aimed the downshoots, new gutters, new thing, the direction the downspouts were aimed was basically backwashing to the building.
So it was pointing the wrong way, the downspouts.
They just needed to be extended a little bit, and there needed to be some dirt work. So it's kind of like, all right, well, here's what we need to do. So off to the big box store I go. We get the gutter extenders, so we kind of get them a little further away from the building. And then from where they had changed out some landscaping last year, well, that soil has now settled and it's sunk like half an inch.
Right.
Not really noticeable until you've been watching the water pool up against the building for the last hour.
We talk about that a lot. It's like, okay, let's suppose you just say, I'm going to go build a tool shed over here.
Yeah.
It might be 40 feet from your house, but it may have changed the entire current of the water.
It did. I mean,
or may have blocked something.
But this was such a subtle change. Just walking around the house,
right?
I had my suspicion, but I needed to see. And yeah, the downspout is putting out a lot of water, and it's not flowing away from the building fast enough.
Right.
So it's kind of like,
but it's easier to observe when it's actually raining.
And you got to go sit, you got to go stare at it for a minute. And so this week happily they had a pile of dirt from an earlier job still sitting in the back. So it's kind of like show up with the wheelbarrow, show up with a shovel, and let's go raise this tiny little area, this whopping ½ inch. We're going to make it an inch so that it just completes the water moving away from the building. And it rained yesterday. So, rained the day before yesterday. So went back over yesterday, walked in, and everybody was ecstatic because it was bone dry.
There you go,
and
man.
It wasn't horrible. It wasn't terrible, but they paid attention and they didn't wait for it to get bad.
And it's funny because that's a simple thing. But then when you start taking this on a bigger scale and you think about neighborhood design, or you think about dams that they put in, water movement, it's a huge deal. That changes entire landscapes.
Well, that's why I'm giggling about Robbie saying a house is nothing more than a boat on a sea of dirt. And I'm going, yeah, in so many ways.
He ain't wrong, man.
Which really at this point kind of rings the bell for our great moment in building history.
Okay, well, let's ring the bell.
And now, great moments in building history.
Because you this was a good one. You want to talk about Memorial Park over
I do.
in East Memphis, over at Poplar and Yates, right there. Everybody's driven by there, I'm sure.
Back in 1924, E. Clovis Hines decided that I like this 54 acres and I'm going to buy it. Of the beautiful...
A lot of foresight there, because that's some prime real estate. Man.
Well, back then it was in the woods.
Yeah.
Now it's in the middle of town,
Right.
1924, Memphis was, honestly, Memorial Park was the outside edge of now where what we call the 240 loop goes.
Yeah.
Which surrounded poor little Memphis.
Sure.
Had lots of room for Memphis to grow, and I think Memphis is now 4 times
like,
that
hold my
size.
beer. Yeah.
Memphis took that challenge happily.
Right.
But Memorial Park, it is a cemetery with all the full services and that. And it has a beautiful spot called the Crystal Shine Grotto. And the first thing I want to talk about is landscaping. This place is beautiful. Big, old growth trees that have been there for a couple of 100 years. They had to clear out a lot of underbrush and trees, but all of the big statements got retained.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So when you go to this place and you drive through it, you really get to see what amazing old growth oaks, magnolias, pecans, willows look like. And these are big and they're beautiful and they're majestic. And in an area like Memphis, where we have a lot of, vegetation growth. We're far enough south, we got a long growing season. We're far enough north that we have some truly amazing trees.
I got a question, because when I think of Memorial Park, I think of Elmwood Cemetery.
Right.
And the reason I think of that is because when you're in Memorial Park, especially if you get right around the middle of it, there's these sort of gentle rolling hills.
Yes.
And there's a similar quality over at Elmwood. And I wonder if that was chosen specifically because there's something about a rolling hill that makes you reflect on life. Do you ever get that way?
Yeah.
If you're in nature or if you're something, it's like, because there's this valley and there's, I don't know, it seems like an appropriate place for a cemetery.
I'm going to compliment both facilities for resisting the urge of the 40s and 50s to bulldoze anything.
Oh yeah, just plow it over.
Because we all know we all committed. A lot of construction projects. Oh well, you knock that hill down and look at all this extra dirt you got.
Yeah.
And they resisted that urge, and they kept them because they were very aesthetically pleasing. Now, the biggest thing to why I want to pick on this as a great moment in building history is 4 landscaping projects. They have beautiful goldfish pond. They have big open areas. We talked about the Memphis Zoo and the ability to move people around. So when you're looking at your yard and looking at, and I hate to say cemeteries are great places to steal ideas, but
Why
they
not?
really, really are.
Yeah.
They are designed to be peaceful. They're designed to let you reflect.
Yeah.
They're designed for you to enjoy your visit with your past loved one, but B, do it in such a way that you've got this great environment for it.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea for your yard.
Yeah.
Just really throwing that out there.
Now, a silly question is where does the grotto kind of come in? Because I've never really heard of the idea of like a funeral, like a cemetery having a grotto.
All right, the Crystal Grotto is because there are a number of religious leaning exhibits put together, and most of them are made in concrete. So there's huge trees, stumps, and areas that are all made in concrete, and they are really quite dramatic. And one of them is a crystal grotto, which is because we have Mount Ida right over here in Arkansas.
Yeah.
A huge amount of quartz was available. So they made an area where you can go in and sit down and reflect, and the entire thing is lined in these quartz crystals.
What's interesting to me, too, and I don't know if this was intentional, I don't know if they were even thinking this way, but you've talked about crystals in the past in terms of vibratory frequencies and just the properties of crystal are interesting. And there's even, I wonder, did they think about that when they lined the thing with crystals?
I'm sure somebody did. I don't. There's no footnote in their history that says, "Oh yeah, and by the way," but I'm sure that when you walk in, there is a certain feeling when you go in the grotto. It's very, again, peaceful, reflective. It's a place where you can go sit down and relax.
And I would say, too, Max, because you're always, when it comes to writing, when it comes to any type of building, you always appreciate restraint, right? I mean, they didn't overdo it. Like Allan said, they didn't bulldoze they didn't scrap what was there. They kind of worked around.
Well, yeah, they didn't lose those magnificent trees. As a matter of fact, they designed the entire area to work around what they already had.
Yep.
So if you've never been, it's a great place to go. You will see a lot of people doing photography shoots there. You will see, especially when it comes to prom season, because of some of the amazing landscaping, a lot of people out there getting some pretty good pictures.
Absolutely. So, all right, well, we're going to continue to discuss that, to discuss Memorial Park when we come back here on Tool Talk Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Allan.
I'm here to clean the carpets. Most of the world is carpeted, and one day we will do the cleaning.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I mean, it's always good to have a clear business plan, and good for them, man. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Allan Gilbreth from Allan's Spices over at allanspices.com, and our pal Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, we're talking in our Great Moments in Building History about really an institution of the Mid-South. I mean, beyond Memphis, and it's Memorial Park, which is gosh, I didn't realize you said 54 acres right in the heart of East Memphis, and it's a very peaceful place. A lot of Memphians are buried there.
I want to try to tie what we discussed during the first segment neatly into this segment.
Okay.
So, Allan, you were talking about the idea of certain plants having the ability to reduce odors. So I'm thinking of, are these giant trees really good of reducing the smell of putrefaction?
Thanks, Max.
Okay. Well,
for one thing, is that even Max always has to do this.
Well, welcome to modern embalming, so that's not an issue.
Yeah.
However, the giant trees are good at carbon sequestering, so they have a lot there. And
Meaning what? What is carbon sequestering?
Well, that means it's a tree. So all of that carbon is trapped as a tree, not free in the atmosphere, causing global warming.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, big old trees are a whole lot of carbon in a nice, complete package, not in the atmosphere.
Okay, hang on. I'm sorry. I'm going to give Max one tiny bit of credit, even though I don't know why I'm doing this, Max.
Well, it's because it was this was a cemetery created pre-modern embalming.
Okay,
that is correct.
Well, and also
you are correct. Yes.
Also, I'm going to say, I bet you there are trees that would be not ideal. I'm thinking of what if you had trees that had really invasive root systems where they might go and spread out a quarter mile or whatever, and then they're getting into. They're breaching coffins and they're breaching. So there's probably a little reason to what.
So grandma's coming back. Let's just say
enough, man.
Yeah, no. What you are looking at is a very carefully manicured and very well managed park-like setting.
Right.
And my point to this is, we're only about 4-6 weeks away for opening the backyards again, and it's time to get out there and start cutting the grass and thinking about what we're going to do. And landscaping is, as Max was pointing out in his, hybrid world, fire pits are a thing. Water features are a thing. The type of plants we grow in our yards are now much more varied.
Yeah.
There was the point in time where the average American suburban yard was just basically a grass desert.
Yeah.
We outside of sheep, what were we going to do with all this? We had these lovely manicured lawns that didn't do anything. And now we have swung completely back the other way, and people have beautiful landscaping. People have water features, fire features. They have grills. They have full outdoor entertainment. Just check out any number of entertainment channels on TV these days.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these things are coming together, and it all ties together with what's growing back there, where's the water going, how does it operate. And another thing I want to throw in a commercial setting like Memorial Park is also ease of maintenance.
Oh, well, that's a good point. Think of the maintenance, and they have to keep the lawns manicured and
this place
depending
has
on the
to
type
look
of your
good
headstones
all the time.
Right. Yeah.
So they have quietly and subtly, and I'll tie this into your longboat, they've learned over the years what to do and what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
Where to plant this versus where not to plant this. How do we do this walkway? Where did we put this feature? Why did we put this particular thing there? And the artist that you get to come into contact with here is a guy by the name of Dionisio Rodriguez. And he is the one that did so much of the concrete sculptures and the Crystal Grotto.
Oh, okay.
So you have a very famous 30s or so artist and did just a remarkable amount of work. And I'm bringing him up because lawn sculptures, artwork, and features figure heavily in how well your yard is usable.
Sure. Yep.
And if you got a dog, let's plan on the dog. You got a cat, let's plan on the cat. So a place like this is it's a great place to go visit anyway. B, it is a magnificent place to study for how would I do this on a smaller scale.
Yeah, I think it's not a bad idea to go there and just get ideas for your own property. If you have even backyard design, you could still get ideas for that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of making the best of what you already have. And the other thing is, keep in mind the maintenance to this. This place, if you really think about it, it's got to look fabulous all the time. So things that don't look fabulous or take too much effort or weren't worth the effort have been removed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot can be said about what is here, and a lot can be said about what is not here.
Yeah. And they planned for, it's interesting too, because you said he bought this back in
24. Yeah.
In 1920, and it was 50 something acres. And back then, Memphis wasn't what it is now.
No, not even close. Right.
So he planned for expansion. That's interesting, having a long-term plan like that. I mean, seriously long term.
I got a question with regards to acoustics in a place like this, because I'm thinking of with a cemetery. What's kind of nice is it almost seems like you're isolating yourself from the noises outside. So, what did they do in order to create that sort of isolated, contemplative feel?
Trees.
Oh, and there's another feature.
There's another sound dampening.
Well,
so when you drive around this, if you drive up and down Yates, you will see not gigantic, huge, monstrous trees, but a lot of these smaller, lower growing varieties that create both a windbreak and a sound break from the city.
But Max, there's also, remember that there's a stone wall around the side. But what's interesting about this, you know, because you're at Poplar, which is a huge, busy road. But
one of the busiest streets we have.
Okay, they didn't build a 12-foot tall stone wall. You can still see into it. It's enough. It's really an interesting understanding of acoustics and things, because it's just enough to kind of bounce the sound.
Well, where's
away.
the noise from the vehicle? The noise from the vehicle is not 12 feet in the air.
Right. Yeah,
the vehicle's down
low.
2 or 3 feet off the ground. So that nice 36 to 48-inch wall gets the job done.
Pretty cool, man. So, yeah, I mean, you could do worse. Well, you should go visit over there anyways. Just a nice, peaceful.
It's a beautiful, beautiful property.
But also you can steal some good ideas, which, you know, we're all about
if you're going to steal ideas, steal from the best.
Yep.
And this is of this one, and also there's a couple of other cemeteries in the Memphis area that have amazing grounds.
Elmwood.
Look good. Elmwood is another top one.
Well, another dynamic and wide-ranging episode of Tool Talk Radio is in the can. But you guys, we got to get out of here. It's over. So until next week, on behalf of my buddy Allan Gilbreth and our pal Max over there behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Now go thank your houseplants.
What?